right, welcome to our second review of this session. Uh, Up this time is a game that's inaccurately called Super Captain 3D.
Well, it's not entirely inaccurate, but it is an entirely 2D game. They're talking
Yeah,
about art style,
yeah, it's like
pre-rendered 3D art style.
yeah. The thing of it is, when you usually see a something 3D, you expect the gameplay to be in 3D, not the art.
Yeah.
So, just putting that up front here. You know, that being said, yeah, it's also not a platform game as or in anything like that. It is a shmup, a shoot 'em up, side-scrolling variety, horizontal, as and well, you play as the titular Super Captain 3D. Not sure if the 3D is actually part of his name. Like, anyway, you play as him to fight off an alien invasion. Very stereotypical type of aliens. Like, they're the kind of aliens when you think of the, say, pop cultural representation of aliens. I mean, not quite grays, but it's up there. Green blobs and such, or green.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So, not really going to dance around the issue of this game. This is a pretty, at best, pedestrian shmup.
Yeah, it is trying something. It is trying something unique. It has a few unique mechanics, but there are also some things that are basically solved game design issues in the side-scrolling shooter space that it tries to find other solutions to, and
yeah. Yeah. So, this game is slow. This game is pretty slow at its base level. Granted, other shmups do that as well, but here's the difference between those and Super Captain 3D. Stuff like speed-ups, power-ups, laser beam, spread shot, whatever, those are temporary power-ups.
You do get speed-ups that are like permanent for the level, but they're barely noticeable. They bring you up to like after like 2 or 3 of those, you might be up to what is considered the starting speed for most side-scrolling shooter-ups.
Right. And even then, the leveled power-ups, this game has a very basic, let's say, experience system where you can upgrade one of 3 areas: your shot, your
speed, or your metal form, which is your shield.
Yeah, your shield.
Yeah.
Also, you have a huge fucking hitbox in this game, which is
your hitbox is your entire character model, which is very large. And this game gets pretty bullet curtainy with some of the enemies, which is presumably why you have the metal / after a few upgrades you get a force field around it form, but still.
Yes.
And your force field form and your big forward laser thingy that are mapped to the left trigger and right button are on a cooldown, but the cooldown is extremely imprecise. Like, it doesn't tell you exactly when you can do it again, so you just kind of sometimes have to hope that you didn't waste your big you didn't waste your use your big shot too soon before the enemy shoots out a bunch of. It's mostly noticeable with bosses. The thing that struck me about this game that's interesting is that you actually don't really die per se, or except against bosses. Maybe when you get hits, you lose some score, and you're stunned for a second.
Well,
but mostly you lose or are penalized based on enemies getting past you without you killing them.
I'll take a bit more detail here. Is it's using a, how do I put this, Sylphid system. You only have 1 life, but you can take multiple hits.
You can take quite a few hits.
Yes. there are other shmups that do this. One,
Mhm.
you only have the one life, but you've got multiple shots. What's different about this game is the punishment inflicted in terms of dying. It's like there are some games where if you die, um, you might as well start over again because you've
Mhm.
lost all your power ups and you're just not going to be able to compete at that level. There are, in terms of like restarting, you either restart at the beginning of the level or you restart at the boss. Um, what what I'm getting at in terms of punishment is, um, if you have to restart at the boss, the only thing that you lose is score, or rather, um, you you do not get scored for killing the boss if you die there, which is why you have the option to restart the stage. Like, once again, that's a very modern system of punishment.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how you feel about that kind of thing is probably, it's like, because not for nothing, this game isn't especially challenging most of the time, even with the slowness and the big hitbox. Um, uh, and it's not going to last you very long either. Obviously there's replayability. Um, there's also a new mode that got recently added to the game. It's called Badman mode. They're Batman XP, like
Instead of Superman.
right, and he's a glass cannon. He's the one who has lives, but you get hit once, you die, and
Mhm.
not surprising, that's the difficult mode because this game is really kind of built around.
Yeah, there are lots of shots, and sometimes there are very lots of enemies, and the enemies are pretty aggressive and in formations where sometimes it's hard to kill all of them. Which is
Uh-huh.
well, the thing is, like I said, normally you only have a straight ahead firing shot that gets a little bit stronger when you power up that in your beam, and you can use the super beam, but that's still straight ahead. So your ability to, like, there's no bombs, there's not really a, like, even a slight spread shot or peripheral fire weapons or anything.
Mm-hmm. Like they kind of give you a dash, but it's not enough to fix that problem.
Yeah, the dash is useful for
Yeah.
moving through like wall beams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to use the dash because
Yeah.
lasers show up.
Like the defensive power
Yeah.
is very powerful. You can't shoot while you're metal, but I mean,
You also can't die when you're metal.
right. It's just
Mhm.
again, it's on a cooldown, and I'm not sure exactly how long of a cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um. Anyway, in terms of graphics, it's all right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's made in Game Maker, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are still games made in Game Maker. Music, I'm trying to remember it, quite honestly. Like,
So am I.
yeah, I mean that's kind of just the entire package there. Fairly solid, but also very unremarkable. Um, so really, the tipping point in terms of recommendation comes down to the price. This game clocks in at $3, and that's full price. I'd expect it to be like $1.50, $2, on a sale. So yeah, even with its supreme mediocrity, I can still recommend this game. A light recommendation, but still a recommendation
Well,
because
it's mostly harmless, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I
Yeah,
did not play long enough to find out if they do anything interesting with the story, but I would be surprised if they did.
I forgot there was a story to this.
The story is that you're the
I know.
only hero left after something very similar to the Infinity Gauntlet thing, except it's a boot. And Your planet is getting invaded. You live on the planet of 3D pre-rendered graphics, and you're getting invaded by pixel thingies.
Good luck, have fun.
I didn't say it was a detailed story.
But
Right.
yeah, this is an alright game. $3. It's not going to be spending a whole lot on it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there are a shit ton of shooters I'd recommend uh, before this. Like a whole, it's like, like R-Type 1 and 2 just got released on Steam, for example. And, that's just the popular stuff. It's like, it's like this game isn't doing any particularly thing wrong. It's not doing anything particularly right either. Like, it's it's a full-on 5 out of 10. Decent, especially for its price, but I'd be hard-pressed to recommend anything beyond that. So what about you guys?
Yeah, like again, it's harmless, but there are better options.
It has a couple of interesting ideas for a side-scrolling space shooter type game, but like I said, there are some things that, like, having a more satisfying upgrade path, having like the temporary power-ups. When you sometimes see a floating icon and it cycles between having like 3 letters on it, and the power-ups are like you get a piercing shot that can shoot through enemies, a spread shot that covers a wider area, or a pair of very widely spaced Gradius options that orbit around you and shoot. And even those are kind of underwhelming. And they don't last for, like, if you had like a satisfy, like where when you powered up your weapons, instead of just your beam getting wider by increments, if it like made your shots spread apart a little bit, or if there was like any kind of bomb functionality for when you get, because you get, like, the main way you lose during stages is if too many things get past you and destroy the city or whatever. Like you're ranked, you're scored or ranked basically on destroying everything that comes in front of you.
Yeah.
So I feel like there would, like, getting a more satisfying and effective power upgrade system thing would help the game a lot, because there are some neat ideas here and it's worth checking out, but it's just, there are some things that are like, what would be beginner mistakes in this genre that has been around since practically the dawn of video games.
Not quite that far back, but
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, Asteroids was technically almost this kind of game, so
the genre started about 1981, but that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
It started with the likes of Vanguard and Scramble, if I'm recalling correctly. Anyway, so yeah, that'll about do it for Super Captain 3D. Be sure to tune in. Switch.
Adam?
Yes?
You cut out a bit.
You cut out there for a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to blame that on Skype. Anyway, yes. Be sure to stay tuned for our third and final game of the evening, Demetrios, the Big Cynical Adventure for the Nintendo Switch. Gogs will be handling this one.
Oh boy.